So
Mhm.
basically, we have to keep telling ourselves, like, hey, I am responsible for the overall delivery of the project, not
Mhm.
just one user story or one particular technical challenge. It's
Mhm.
very easy to pick up the challenge and work on it and get it done.
Mhm.
But you have lost the time in managing a major risk, probably, of the project. You'll have so many tasks to do other than these core technical stuffs. So you'll be
Mhm.
lost in those. So you should always keep that in mind. And then wherever there is a blocker, make sure you get the right people and get it resolved and move on. I firmly believe like AI can make our jobs better. It
Mhm.
may not just replace the jobs, so it will only help us to make our jobs better. It's
Mhm.
not only for TPM roles, any role for that matter. We can
Mhm.
always make best use of AI. I mean,
Mhm.
as a simple example, is like one boring task a TPM has to do is taking the minutes and sending it across to multiple teams, especially
Mhm.
when a lot of different teams are involved, and
Mhm.
that takes a hell lot of time.
Mhm.
And as a technical person, I really don't enjoy doing that.
Mhm.
But thanks to AI, it will give you the entire notes with precision details. So for anybody who's thinking like AI is going to wipe off their job or take over their job,
Mhm.
think in these lines. Like AI can provide IQ
Mhm.
and it can provide EQ, the emotional quotient, to some extent, but
Mhm.
it can't provide the social quotient yet. And
Mhm.
that is the place where we can invest, and that's a very critical factor these days.
Here I am, bringing you insightful conversations about modern day career opportunities, perspectives, and powerful stories. Welcome to Career Explore. I am your host, Jayakishor Bayadi.
Today, we have with us Mr. Raghavendra Krishna Murthy, who has over 20 plus years of experience in the field of IT as a technical project manager, program manager, and IT leader. I'm really grateful to Raghu for agreeing to have this conversation where today we'll be discussing about technical project management and what it takes to become a technical project manager. So, Raghu, thanks so much for taking time out to share your experiences. So, Raghu, I just wanted to understand about yourself a bit before we, actually begin our conversation about technical project management. So, would you give us about yourself and uh, how have been your journey so far in this IT industry, etc.?
Sure. So first of all, thanks, Jay, for having me here. It is always wonderful to talk to you. So basically, I am a mechanical engineer, and I started my IT career 20 plus years ago. And I started as a web developer, and then working my way towards becoming a technical lead, and eventually I became a technical architect. So during this journey, I got an opportunity to work on a lot of project management tasks as well. So there was a lot of different stuffs I was doing, which was related to project management. And that helped me in getting my PMP certification. And based on that, I got into project management roles. And in this whole journey, I maintained my technical acumen and that hunger to learn more and more technical stuffs. So that helped me in becoming a TPM, which is what I'm doing in my current role today.
Oh, great. That's great, Raghu. So, I mean, the big piece is out of this is the continuous learning which you are actually practicing. In this field of IT, in this times, the continuous learning is very, very important. And at any time, you will become an obsolete, right? I mean, if you don't learn properly. So I just wanted to understand. Uh, how I mean, you already told how did you land up in this job, or so I just wanted to understand how what exactly you are doing in this particular job as a technical project manager. See, there is a normal project manager and a technical project manager, and I see there are a lot of actually job roles available nowadays. I mean, companies are looking out for technical project managers rather than your traditional project managers, and the trend is increasing, and the range the payment or the salary range is also, good. I mean, globally, at least that is what I could see online as a research or as part of my research or something like that. So what exactly you do as part of this technical manager role?
Yeah, so TPM mainly involves someone who has good project management knowledge and experience,
Mm-hmm.
along with a very strong technical foundation. So
Mm-hmm.
the technical edge is the key for this particular role.
Mm-hmm.
So traditionally, we would have seen PMs managing the project. They just go by the rule book, get all the inputs, and prepare the Gantt charts, do the management, stakeholder management, the typical stuffs as a PM.
Mm-hmm.
But there were times when they used to depend on too many other folks to represent the technical side of stuffs.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why a lot of companies thought, like, if there is a person who knows both sides of it, they can easily represent, and then they can drive the project in a much more efficient way. So that's where TPMs play a crucial role in making sure a technical solution is delivered on time, within the budget,
Mm-hmm.
and in high quality standards.
Okay, that's great. So, so as a technical project manager, you involve yourself in all the technical aspects. For example, technical architects are there, technical leads are there. Obviously, technical leads are actually, managing development team. They make sure whatever the assigned tasks are completed. But do you involve technically to do some tasks, or you involve in technical tasks along with technical architect, if he or she is present in your team, or if that role is not present in your team, will you be doing that role? Is that how typically it works?
No, it's a mix set of both. So what happens is, if you take a typical project, like let's not talk about the pre-sales aspect of it, because there is a lot
Mm-hmm.
of time when a TPM gets involved in these pre-sales stuffs,
Mm-hmm.
and later once the project kicks off, so a TPM would mainly facilitate bringing in all the technical people and the management people, everyone around, and then they
Mm-hmm.
start those initial discussions to gather requirements or high level epics, and
Mm-hmm.
then they facilitate the design working sessions.
Mm-hmm.
So they need not sit and try to come up with a solution. That's
Mm-hmm.
the part which the architects would do.
Mm-hmm.
But having the constant sense of timelines and the design trade-offs, and they will have an idea of what's going on in other programs and other projects. So they
Mm-hmm.
bring in all those details into picture, and based on certain design decisions, what we are taking in the current project, it
Mm-hmm.
might affect something else. So
Mm-hmm.
those are the things which the TPMs would highlight and call out, and
Mm-hmm.
making sure that the design, whatever is being proposed, is in line with the overall business requirements, and it maintains the timelines and other stuffs.
Okay, okay, okay. That's great. So, what exactly the skills or additional skills? I mean, you to be a technical manager or technical project manager role. I mean, considering which is one of the hottest the job roles available right now. So, uh, how a typical technical lead, or if he's a functional consultant, I mean, can he become, he or she can become a technical project manager? What exactly the core skills required in addition to your project management skills in this role, as per you?
Yeah, core skills is that the strength in the technology, like the fundamentals are very important. Like
Mm-hmm.
anybody who can master the data structures, algorithms, and then if they're good at design patterns, architectural patterns, all these stuffs, if they have done it on their job, they are
Mm-hmm.
all very good eligible candidates to become TPM. So
Mm-hmm.
because they already know what exactly goes in and out, and when say, an architect or a technical lead explains a solution,
Mm-hmm.
he not only understands it, but he'll be able to challenge it given the circumstances, and he can bring the best out of his entire team if he's also well aware of it.
Mm-hmm.
And the only caution he need to exercise is he shouldn't get too deep into the technical aspects and then
Mm-hmm.
trying to propose a solution on his own. We are always tempted to do that,
Mm-hmm.
but it's better to just stay a little bit away and let the technical team or the architects or the technical leads bring the solution.
Oh, that's great. So basically, the balancing that fine line between managing your project and managing technical aspects is key. I mean, do you have any tips on that? Because as a technical man people, right? I mean, they tend to get into more into technical aspects, as you said. They, I mean, when they debug kind of a the issue or something like that, they go deep technically. So how typically you can handle, do you have any tips? I mean, so that you have dual responsibilities, managing technical aspects which is aligned to the customer, and also managing the project budget as well. So how you can manage that fine line basically?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So
Mhm.
basically, we have to keep telling ourselves, like, hey, I am responsible for the overall delivery of the project, not
Mhm.
just one user story or one particular technical challenge. It's
Mhm.
very easy to pick up the challenge and work on it and get it done.
Mhm.
But you have lost the time in managing a major risk, probably, of the project. You need to spend time scheduling core meetings with some business stakeholders, some different team to align with their business goals, or to do a release management plan. So you'll be like, you'll have so many tasks to do other than these core technical stuffs. So you'll be
Mhm.
lost in those. So you should always keep that in mind. And then wherever there is a blocker, make sure you get the right people and get it resolved and move on, rather than just getting your hands dirty. In some extreme cases, you may have to get involved, because if the problem is really complex, and if you had the expertise in resolving it in the past, you can
Mhm.
always get in and work on it. But they're all extreme situations. For example, in my experience, whenever there has been a performance issue,
Mhm.
I have involved personally, even though I was a TPM, I have
Mhm.
involved and I solved it myself, because at that point of time, there was no one who had that kind of expertise of that
Mhm.
particular performance issue. So apart from that, you should always tell yourself, like, hey, you have other things to do, which no
Yeah.
one else can help you do that. So
Mhm.
development can take help from many people. There are always
Yes.
so many different forums they can use it. But a TPM cannot get some developer to help on resolving a risk issue what he might be managing.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So yeah. So as a technical project manager, right? I mean, the challenges, right? You have mentioned the managing that fine line between project management and technical stuff, right? What other challenges, I mean, your day-to-day challenges, as a technical project manager, you face, generally? Because every project is a different, every customer is a different, their expectations are different. So what are the typical challenges, if you can uh, explain to our audience about, with some example scenario, if you can recall. Otherwise, typical challenges, generally which you faced, or generally one can expect in this role. I mean, if you could share about that, that would be really good.
Yeah, so all the challenges which a project manager would face, a
Mm.
TPM also would face. But other than that, the very unique problem or challenge which I have faced is
Mhm.
the tendency to get into these scope creeps. So
Okay.
what happens is, if you are a pure project manager, you are always trained and you are so used to calling it out that there is a scope creep. So they are
Mhm.
like the referees in a soccer match or something. If there is an offside, they'll immediately raise their flag. But
Mhm.
as a TPM, you're used to solving the problems yourself, and then you may not see that thin line of scope creep, and you'll be tempted to say that, oh, you know what, this can be done within the allocated time. Why don't we try and do that? So we should always avoid that. So that's the place where it gets a bit tricky.
Mhm.
So consciously make an attempt to avoid scope creeps, but and then make sure that you don't get into that technical space and try to solve it on behalf of the team. If there's a scope creep, it is a scope creep. You have to highlight that and take it further.
Okay, so to manage uh, it with stakeholders directly, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So can like it's a question that was part of earlier question itself. Can a functional consultant, right? I mean, he has a overall understanding. For example, if you take Microsoft Dynamics 365. In this space, how the architecture of Microsoft Dynamics 365 as a product works, the database, the dataverse, how typically it works. From a functional standpoint, he knows the product, and from a technical standpoint, he knows how the architecture works, but he or she doesn't know to create a plugin or create an additional extension aspects or something like that. He has never worked on it. Okay. Uh, can such a person be a a technical project manager role?
It's very difficult, but
Mhm,
definitely possible if the person is has that enthusiasm to learn the technical stuffs on the go. He need
mhm,
not write a plugin or anything like that, to be very
mhm,
specific. And
mhm,
also, if the nature of the project is very specific to Dynamics itself, because
mhm,
there are projects like, especially if you get into the banking world or something, there'll
mhm,
be projects which does exclusively CRM projects, which would fall into Dynamics if the implementation is done through Microsoft Dynamics.
mhm,
So over there they can manage because they will have that liberty to have multiple people doing different stuff. So if they have the good knowledge about the product, they
mhm,
can do that, and eventually they will become technical product managers. So that is
mhm,
uh, another flavor what is there within this technical TPM space. They
mhm,
can do that. But the challenge comes in when there are too many integrations around. For example, if there is an integration with the ERP system, a lot of APIs are coming into picture, and we have a performance SLA for each of these APIs to be sent, the data sent, and then if there are performance issues around. So when these kind of things come in, it will be very overwhelming for a functional person to manage that. They can take
mhm.
the help of the technical architects and do that, but it will be very hard for them to comprehend all that information and then take those conscious decisions.
Yeah, 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 that's a great insight, actually. So, just for a sake of, because the role is hot, you have to be in your space. I mean, you're good at as a functional consultant or a business analyst or a, he has his own core skill, right? I mean, he or she needs to think about how they can enhance their core skill and go in the relevant path, like you said, technical, the product managers, functional product managers, you rightly said, right? I mean, that's another hot role, actually. So yeah, I mean, so take a decision as per your core skills is the key thing. I mean, it's a very insightful thought you have just conveyed. So okay, coming back to our the other question which I had asked earlier as well. So, as a technical person who has done, some kind of a coding or some kind of a technical work in my past, and so what steps I have to take to become a technical project manager? How I can become a technical manager. So.
Yeah, so first of all, they should have that hunger to keep on learning more technical stuffs. That
Mhm,
foundation is the key.
mhm,
And you should always feel like I want to be technical because there are a lot of people, including myself. There was a time in my career where I'm like, I don't want to write code anymore. I just want to become a manager and manage the teams. And that is why I did PMP and got into project management roles. But when I was doing that, somehow a part of me said, don't lose your technical edge. And somehow I managed to keep it, and it helped me in the later part of my career. So that technical edge or that hunger is very important. And along with that, they should have respect towards project management. So usually what happens is, as a junior developer or any technical person, will not care much about project management. They think a project manager is just someone who will open their project management tool and then key in all the information, and then they just ask the questions which a bot can do. That is
mhm,
the notion every other developer will have. But as and when they grow, they should that perspective has to change. They should understand what exactly is involved in project management. There are a lot of complex steps involved. So I always encourage them to do some basic certifications. So there are lots of certifications available within project management, lots of courses, and
mhm,
eventually they can do a complex course like PMP or any other agile project management certifications. So that will give them an orientation of how they can actually make best use of these project management techniques and methodologies.
mhm.
So that once they get that understanding and orientation, they can step in into these kind of TPM roles.
Okay, that's great. So, when you talk about certifications, obviously the certifications will give you a kind of a focused learning for sure, and there is a benefit of having, uh, I mean, by doing certification, certainly you can. But do you think employers prefer certified people than the experienced people when they have interviewed both, and when they compare apple to, I mean, apple to apple? Like, you might have interviewed several people for you only, for your team. So how do you see, I mean, after interview, a person with the certification, person without a certification, if a person without a certification has an edge, will you prefer certified person or a non-certified person?
That again depends on the particular situation, because I myself I interviewed a lot of people.
Mhm.
When somebody will be like their resume would be loaded with certifications,
Yeah.
but when I ask them some specific questions, they're not
Mhm.
able to answer properly.
Mhm.
And I interviewed people who doesn't have any certifications, but their experience speaks a lot, and they're able to articulate what they have done in their role.
Mhm.
So you have to choose as per that particular situation. But I encourage people, especially the experienced people,
Mhm.
also to do some certifications, because
Mhm.
that would give them the higher edge. Like they cannot be complacent saying, "Hey, you know what? I have experience. Always
Mhm.
somebody will select me." Because there will be people who will respect these certifications. Because
Mhm.
if somebody has spent so much of time in earning those certifications, that has some value. As long
Mhm.
as the person uses these certifications to enhance their knowledge, not just to find a job or to get a bonus or a pay rise. So
Mhm.
that's the key. If they invest time wisely in those certifications and understand the subject rather than just rushing it and getting some kind of paid these question banks or something, and then just passing the certification,
Mhm.
that won't help much. If they really spend time and understand and gain
Mhm.
knowledge, that would definitely go a long way.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's great. I mean, you have been doing so much the insights about the modern day career, the real life examples or real life situations. I mean, definitely these insights will help our viewers or listeners in a much better way, so that they can prepare for realistic scenarios. Because there are so many the people who talk about certifications, all those stuff, and and I have some examples who have done certifications and still asking. I mean, they ping me. I mean, I am talking about some of the certifications in the functional areas of several aspects from a business analysis perspective, etc. Despite doing a certification, right, I am not getting the job. I'm not getting shortlisted in the interview, all these things. So I keep telling them that certification you can do, first of all, if you can afford it, and second is if you want to have that focused learning, right? Certification gives that structured way of learning the subject, and it gives that kind of the proof for someone that you know something, rather than not having the certification. But based on the certification, if you expect to get a job, someone to give a job, it is not how industry works, right? So I keep telling them, and they keep asking for some kind of give me a career roadmap, I need to get a job. There is no such fixed career roadmap, etc. I mean, other than you have to upgrade your skills, you need to be as close as the real life, the practical situations, right? So if you are near, I mean, if you know the practical situations, you will answer accordingly in your interviews, so that then interviewer knows that yes, this guy knows something, and he that the possibilities of hiring you is much more higher. So I always tell them that you know uh, having that knowledge is more important than having number of certifications. And your point is well thought, and thanks for sharing that thoughts as well. So yeah, I mean, coming continuing our discussion. So you somehow you became a technical project manager. Okay, so what is the career trajectory looks like from becoming a technical project manager till where he can go? Obviously, the sky is the limit, but typically on an average, how the career progress happens in an industry as per you?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So what happens in this TPM thing is they'll still remain TPM for many years, even though
Mhm.
they are changing their roles.
Mhm.
You might be thinking like, oh, you know what? Are they going to stick in the same role? No, let
Mhm.
me explain. They'll start as a technical project manager, and then
Mhm.
eventually they'll become technical program managers, and then they'll become technical portfolio managers.
Mhm.
So it's still TPM. So
Mhm.
that is how the trajectory will go. And
Mhm.
if they are really good in terms of leadership skills, so there is a high chance that they might land in the leadership roles, like somebody
Mhm.
becoming a chief project officer or a vice president and an executive level TPM. So there are these kind of roles which will open up, but you need to be really good at what you do. And having leadership skills is something totally different topic altogether. So that is how the trajectory would go. But
Okay.
again, all these levels, the technical edge is the key.
Mhm. Okay. So, I mean, do you have any idea about, or as per your experience, right? You are a technical project manager, and you have been in this industry for 20 plus years. So what is the kind of the pay package for an entry level, let's say for up to 10 years of experience, then after 15 years, after 20 years, what is the range, salary range? I mean, if you are okay to tell that, or if you have any information, I don't need any official citations or something like that, but obviously our viewers or listeners can go and search online. It's the information is available, but uh, typically, I mean, if you can share this information, how much it would be, like, what is the kind of the growth in terms of the career, the salary and pay package, etc.
That's a very tough question, actually,
Hmm.
because salary depends on education, their experience, market demand,
Hmm.
and the location.
Hmm.
Usually, I always encourage people to go to this levels.fii,
Okay.
and that actually gives a very close range for different roles in different locations.
Okay.
That would give them a good idea. And even like a lot of times people search on blind and other sites where they get that number.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. So you said the website level.fii, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Levels
that's
dot.
great. I mean, that's I was not knowing that website. Okay, so that's a great info. Okay. So from a skill enhancement perspective, right? Uh, what are the how do you plan to enhance yourself, or I mean, what are the steps you take normally, the continuous skill and enhancement, so that you are in updated and you know nowadays sometimes surviving in a job, right? I mean, in this kind of situation, it's becoming tough. So how do you make your role, your job relevant to your company or your project? What steps one should take, once he assumes a typical, I mean, a technical project manager role.
Yeah, so the key thing is to look for what's the new and the latest and the greatest. So
Mhm.
that trend, looking for the trend is very important. Some new technology will be coming up, there will be new methodologies coming up. So you need to be up to date on all those aspects. You need to take some time every week. I usually do it on a Friday afternoon, and
Mhm.
then it might sound a bit boring, but that's when all my creative juices flow in, and there won't be any meetings. So I just utilize that time to learn something new every week. And then whatever you, especially since this is technical, whatever you find out, try to see if you can do a small project on that, like a hands-on
Okay.
stuff. You may
Mhm.
not be able to do an end-to-end project, but these days the tools are readily available. Like you don't need to like write too many lines of code for that. So if you get to know a new integration software, for example, you just get a trial version and then try out the few basic stuffs. At least you will know how things work in that. So you
Mhm.
get a good idea about that. And if you are experienced in some of the key softwares, if you find a similar one, it doesn't take long for you to understand the nitty gritties of that. So that's how I try to keep myself up to date and relevant. And
Mhm.
even in project management skills, because we are so like we are technical all the time, so somehow you'll be able to get that and you'll learn faster in on that space. But on the PM space, there is a lot of things happening as well. So you need to spend some time to understand the new methodologies which are coming up, and you can experiment with whatever methodologies you know. You can always create a hybrid and try out different stuffs. There is
Mhm.
no one size fits all kind of rule. So you can be
Yeah.
very creative in the PM side of things as a TPM. So
Mhm.
technically, you may not be able to experiment too much because your solution would be governed by your business requirements and everything. But how you manage the project, you always have that creative edge because you will always get a new team, a different person. So there is a lot of emotional intelligence coming into picture, and you can use it to your advantage and try new things and be very relevant, and you can have that edge in this industry.
Yeah, those are some really great points. I mean, emotional intelligence. We need to touch upon that topic maybe in later in other episode. I would like to have you again in this podcast, maybe in future on different topics. So, Raghu, continuing our conversation, right? We talked about the continuous skill enhancement that is required, about certifications, about the day-to-day challenges are typical. The TPM, a technical project manager or technical program manager faces, etc. So uh, now thinking about a little bit of a future, right? What is the future of this job title, and how this emerging or emergence of AI can impact this job, or how you as a TPM you're leveraging AI, or can you uh, s- you know show some or tell about those aspects, Raghu.
Yeah, absolutely. I was wondering why this AI question hasn't come up yet. So that you
Yeah,
brought it.
yeah.
So I firmly believe like AI can make our jobs better. It
Hmm.
may not just replace the jobs, so it will only help us to make our jobs better. It's
Hmm.
not only for TPM roles, any role for that matter. We
Hmm.
can always make best use of AI. I mean,
Hmm.
as a simple example is like one boring task a TPM has to do is taking the minutes and sending it across to multiple teams, especially
Hmm.
when a lot of different teams are involved, and
Hmm.
that takes a hell lot of time.
Hmm.
And as a technical person, I really don't enjoy doing that.
Hmm.
But thanks to AI, it will give you the entire notes with precision details.
Hmm.
And these days I have seen it, it gives you the exact names. It doesn't mess up with any of the stuffs.
Hmm.
And I can make best use of that. So the time which I was spending in writing the minutes of meetings, it just happens in just 5 or 6 minutes. And then
Hmm.
now, since I know that this particular meeting is getting recorded and getting transcribed, and AI is going to give me the notes, I'm not going to use certain words like, hey, you know what? How long does this take for you guys to get done? I'll use precise words. So I'll use the name of the component and then name of the particular module, name of the particular epic, so that the notes is precise and I don't have to spend time updating that. So this is
Hmm.
how smartly you can make best use of AI.
Hmm.
And you start thinking like you might have seen in many air crash investigation kind of programs where the pilot always talks in a very precise language because there is a flight data recorder and then your black box capturing everything. So it
Hmm.
helps a lot. So similarly, these AI notes help us a lot. And
Yeah.
similarly, you can expand that to many different things. And especially if we are into the dynamics world, you can always use the Copilot and then you
Yeah.
can make use of that. I
Yeah.
mean, of course, Microsoft products, they require more and more improvement constantly. So
Hmm.
this might be just the beginning, but if we use more and give more and more feedback,
Mm.
definitely it will improve a lot in future.
Yeah, and also, the Microsoft product like, project operations, or your, products like Jira, where work management softwares, right? I mean, they offer AI capabilities to, just generate a plan based on the,
Yes.
the inputs or the prompts which you have give, right? Which
Correct.
considerably reduces your effort. I mean, you would have taken 1 hour to create a, the timeline or a project plan, and it gives you a rough plan which you can always rework, right? I mean, so earlier what used to happen is a project manager used to tell his subordinate, or the junior, or the person with the less experienced, or a junior person in the team, to prepare a plan, prepare a plan, and then we will rework on it and complete it. So now that junior person's role actually is taken over by kind of a, AI, where project manager can get that, the project planning aspects, so beautifully. If you see project operations, maybe in other,
Yeah.
the products as well, it gives the tasks or WBSs, right, so beautifully. And you can spend half the time to actually, fine tune it, and make as per your stuff. I mean, that's a great thing it is doing. Hopefully, AI remains as our assistant, and it improves our productivity. So
Yeah.
let's see. I mean, the fingers crossed. AI, we can never imagine, we don't have to unnecessarily worry about the power of AI or the impacts of AI. But the your points are very well thought, and thanks for sharing that. And uh, so what are the the top two advices you want to give, okay, to an aspiring technical project managers who are still in their, solution architect or a developer or lead developer, kind of a role, who wants to become a technical project managers? What are the two key things, two key advices you want to do, they you want to give, sorry.
Yeah, so I will always say that keep learning, like keep your
Mhm,
technical edge and keep learning new things which are coming up. Keep
mhm,
challenging yourself. Like if your job gets too comfortable, then either you have to change the job or ask your boss to give you more work. Try to
mhm,
reduce their load by taking some additional work. So that's how you can move into your next role.
mhm.
So the two things would I would like to advise for anyone.
Okay, those are great 2 points actually. So to stay relevant in the job, you need to be relevant to the situation or scenario, market scenarios, or the customer need, or a project need, or whatever. And you are willing to be a little bit of flexible in terms of learning and offering your services or help to the other people as well. So basically involve yourself in all the aspects, right? I mean, to which will in turn help you learn more and get the experience. And also the your dependency, or your the relevance to our organization always stays intact, right? So I mean, that's a great point you have conveyed. So any tips you want to give us? It's a broad topic, basically, to manage work life balance, as a, let's say, this can be applicable for any general IT people. Okay, it need not be technical project manager, but if you can give me from a technical project management perspective, or your perspective, how you typically, manage your work life balance, and keep up your mental health good. Can you give us some tips, so that everyone who are listening, or the watching this podcast, can gain some insights from, or learn from you?
Yeah, so work-life balance is always challenging, and you have to be very creative and finding different ways to achieve that. So for me, what used to happen was like especially like after moving to US,
Mhm,
we have always been working from home.
mhm,
So even before COVID, I have been working from home all the time. So it's very hard to disconnect from work, and due to the offshore calls or having these nightly calls. So like, you have to like work a bit late, and then it's very hard to disconnect from work. Something is playing in your mind all the time. So that is one challenge. It will always be in your mind. So to sort of counter that, what I used to do is after I finish work, do something which you really love to do. Like work is something I do enjoy, but at times there are a lot of other hobbies you will have. Like it can be as simple as if you are into some kind of learning music or something, that's the time where you just listen to your favorite songs or something. Or if you're into reading, read some book which is outside of the work. If you are into fiction, read some fictional books, or do something which is totally outside and which you love to do. And after that, if you will get good sleep, next day already automatically you're recharged and ready to take on the next set of challenges. And if you're into traveling, always keep taking some time off from work and you travel. That will help you to disconnect. So it depends on how you can disconnect from work. For some people it's very natural, and earlier it was very logical. Like you step
Yeah.
away from your office, you are disconnected from work.
Yeah.
Uh, but now we have to be very creative in finding what exactly works for each one of us. And I personally, either I read a book, or I try to write something, or I just watch some movie. Yeah, movies
Oh.
are my favorite thing, anyways. If I can't think of anything, I just watch a
Yeah,
movie.
yeah, same here. Same
Yeah.
here, actually. Okay. So, as an add-on to this particular question, right? So you have uh, told us earlier that how to keep updated uh, yourself, in terms of industry trends, etc. So, what are the typical practices you practice, or typical ways you practice to keep yourself updated with the trends? I mean, how do you feel that okay, I'm now uh, I'm on par with the industry trends. I mean, I know the latest things, and I mean, do you really get that confidence, or how do you keep up yourself? Can you give us some tips about how you do it?
Yeah, so I actually follow a lot of people on LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
Like they post amazing stuffs every day, and then I don't know how they do it. If they have
Mm-hmm.
additional job or that's their only job, I really
Mm-hmm.
don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But really, hats off to them through this podcast that
Mm-hmm.
they keep posting the latest stuffs and also the fundamental stuff. So it's always important to recertify yourself on all your fundamental knowledge, and then learn the new stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
they can, also they put it in a very easily consumable ways. They are very creative, and you consume a lot of information through that. So
Mm-hmm.
LinkedIn is my primary source of keeping up to date.
Okay. Okay. I mean, that's the great talk we had just now. I mean, the lot of information, a lot of tips have been discussed. I mean, and you have been answering those questions in a crisp and interesting and insightful way. I mean, this will definitely going to help our the people who are watching this or listening to this podcast. And thanks a lot for agreeing to be a guest on my podcast. And before we sign off, I mean, do you have anything to say to our viewers or listeners from your experience? Anything?
Yeah, so probably one thing I wanted to tell, but I somehow forgot when you brought up the AI topic.
Hmm.
So for anybody who's thinking like AI is going to wipe off their job or take over their job,
Hmm.
think in these lines. Like AI can provide IQ,
Hmm.
and it can provide EQ, the emotional quotient, to some extent,
Hmm.
but it can't provide the social quotient yet. And
Hmm.
that is the place where we can invest, and that's a very critical factor these days. Like we always heard about IQ throughout our younger days, but these days this social quotient is very important. And then the more we invest in that, and more we become more socially familiar and comfortable dealing with stuffs, that would really help us to excel in our job. Because that is the
Yeah.
one thing right now AI can't handle in a way which humans can handle.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Actually, we had this conversation earlier as well. I totally with you, and I'm totally with you. And uh, sure, I think it was a really great conversation, and a lot of things to take away from this conversation. And thanks a lot for attending or agreeing to come on this podcast. And I wish you all the best, and have a nice rest of the weekend. Thank you so much.
Likewise. Thanks a lot, Jayakishor, for having me here.
Yeah,
All the best for your many, many podcasts to come. And looking
thank
forward
you.
to your next book, if at all you're writing another one.
Yeah, sure. Thank you for those that wonderful preface as well to my book you have written. Thank you so much. Thank you.